In the northeast of Japan, we are live for round 3 of the Asia Road Racing Championships. As you can see, rain has hit Sugo. That makes life very, very difficult for both the riders and the engineers as they have to negotiate the tires and the tactics, and they have to be really circumspect. We did anticipate some rain, but it came on us very, very quickly. However, the racing must go on. Next up, we've got the AP, the Asia Production 250cc. Let's just have a quick look back at how qualification went in the sunshine of this morning. In the qualification, well, Reza Danica was the man who would eventually end up on top of the pile. But there were some early bright moments coming from some of the wildcards. 3 Japanese wildcard racers, Ryosuke Nakamura, Yuito Nomura and Takahide Tanaka, all in the early stages putting in some decent lap times. Ercan Adner Ferdaus, though, was the man who put in the first lap top, and then Reza Danica, he started to put in some very, very good times. He moved into P1 at a time of 1:42.088. Adananta Putra, who needs to get some results, we feel, to really prove that he's a decent racer. He had 2 DNFs in round number 1, a 4th and a 5th last time out. Also looking good was Aiki Aoshi, who rides for the Kawasaki team. And we have the Hondas making their move as well. Reza Danica Arons, the main man. He needs to be careful of Andy Mohamed Fadli, who's leading the overall championship. In fact, Reza Danica needs a good round here in Sugo, because after this we're beyond the halfway point of the series, and he's got a 14-point deficit. Andy Mohamed Fadli by 108 is the man who's on 3 consecutive wins at the moment. The Indonesian leading the way. Reza Danica eventually put in a time of 1:41.43, and he got close, but not quite close enough, for 1:46.686 for Andy Mohamed Fadli. Sorry, 1:41.686, eventually giving him a P2. Good day for Indonesia generally. They filled the first 4 positions on the grid. Adananta and Ercan Adner completing 3 and 4, but Reza Danica coming up fastest in qualification, a lap of 1:43.437. He'll be on pole position ahead of Andy Mohamed Fadli. Okay, let's have a look at the overall championship standings at the moment. Fadli has a 14-point lead from Reza Danica. They're 1 and 2 on the grid here. Aoshi, who is the teammate of Andy Mohamed Fadli, is in 3rd place. Aoshi is on P5 on the grid for today. Rafi Topan and Aldi Satya, the youngster, they are in P4 and 5. Piawat, the best of the tires, in 6. But as you can see, this is a championship dominated by Indonesia, as Ray Ratchakori and Andi Setiawan are completing the top 8. There's also Ercan and Adananta, who hasn't had the results his performances seem to have deserved so far this season. He could come in and cause a problem further down. Idlan Hakimi is a young racer who's doing his best to try and work his way through this championship. But the rain is here around this circuit. Barry Russell is back inside, not braving the rain. Barry, it got a little bit heavy out there for you.
Well, I was ready to go for the grid interviews, but I think the guys are worried about their equipment.
I think the guys are worried about the electrics on your belt here, because we don't want to frazzle Barry Russell, but the rain makes this undulating course full of cambers and full of tricky turns particularly hazardous.
And we've had no experience this weekend, and therefore most of these riders with any wet conditions at this track, so we don't know how it performs.
But has it stopped? Was it just a brief shower?
It was a brief shower. It's just raining very lightly now.
Okay, so that might really, it works the mind. The racers have got to just get the rain out of their system. They know that they're going to have to be a little bit circumspect, but not too circumspect, because you can easily give away track positions. There was Reza Danica. This is the championship leader, Andy Mohamed Fadli. Perhaps an opportunity for him to steal a march over Reza Danica with these changed conditions?
I think it could be, yeah. I think these conditions will probably, they'll both go well, but I think they could favour Andy slightly more than Reza, but let's see.
He's on the Kawasaki. He wasn't far down. He was only 0.3 of a second down on the time of Reza Danica. And this is Adelanta Puccia. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times that his performances are really not being represented, are they? Because he's a better racer than a man who's only got 24 points. He had a P4 and a P5 last time out, but 2 DNFs on race round 1 in Buriram.
He's definitely worth more than that, Des. I totally agree. And there is somebody trudging off the circuit there.
That is Angie Setiawan.
Oh, so a crash on the sighting lap.
Wow, that shows you that you can only assume that the weather has had a real influence on that. So Angie Setiawan, who had qualified in 9th position, is probably out of the race. Herjan Atna, there are plenty of other Indonesians though. Herjan Atna Firdaus on the Honda. Herjan Atna is he's picked up 2 6th-place finishers this season. Is on 26 points. And alongside Herjan, Ayoshi. Now Ayoshi is a potential wild card. He will know this circuit better than most, even though he's been on the ARC.
Yes, he does. You'd have to fancy him too. Let's see, the race makes everyone a wild card, really, Des.
Certainly does. Rain just has that effect. And this, oh, I wish we'd stay on her. That could have been 10 minutes worth of entertainment in its own right, that young lady putting on the weather map. But here is Ayoshi. He's on P5 on the grid. Next to Piawat, the young Thai. Wet weather gear is on. You can fully understand it because it was a pretty torrential. It is still rainy, but it's light. But the light rain will just make the surface really greasy.
Yeah, and standing next to him is none other than Ratapat Willarot, former GP racer of great note.
His brother is racing today.
Oh, yes, he is.
Later on. So there's the first 3 rows that we've gone through. Then we've got Ray Ratukore on P7. And just look at the clouds in the distance, because I knew that the weather could just close in very, very quickly. Here's Ray Ratukore for the 1XOX TKR racing team. Again, he's one who maybe doesn't get the points on the board that we think he really should do. A decent 5th and a 4th earlier on in the campaign. A disappointing time last time out at Sepang. That was in May.
His experience could come through here, Des. Here's a wild card.
So Nakamura, a wild card. Now, you has had a chance to watch them all. None of the wild cards look like they're likely to be at the top end of the table, or the top end of the grid here.
I wouldn't have thought so on a dry track.
Yes, great answer.
Now we have a wet track, so maybe they will. And that rider was one of the better ones. But of course they don't race AP250s here, so it's difficult for them to adapt the bikes and get used to them in such a short space of time. That's the A Racer team coming off there. They supply the control ECU for these bikes to keep everything nice and level. If anybody gets too much of an advantage, they get their revs dialed down. And I do believe that Andy Fadley is carrying a rev penalty at the moment.
I would imagine that's the problem for succeeding. It's a good problem, and you understand exactly why they did it. Smiling in the rain.
Yeah.
Quite right. It's been good racing so far, and rain can do 2 things. It can make it absolutely thrilling or a lottery. Let's hope for the former, not the latter.
Yes, indeed. The raindrops there on the camera, but I think it finished raining when I came back in a few minutes ago. I keep looking at the screen and thinking that I can see rain, but I think that's just nerves. There's missing grid position there for Anggi Setiawan.
Yes, Anggi Setiawan, who slid out on the, well, not even the formation lap, on the coming out lap, just to show you how bad it was. So in terms of tyre wear, we'll be given the same set of tyres to work with.
It's Dunlop wet, well, they're kind of like intermediate tyres. They're not like wet tyres that we see in the Super Sport and Superbike classes.
We haven't actually seen out on the track exactly how wet it is. because we haven't done a formation lap yet, and some parts on this circuit it can be very dry at one side and wet at the other side because of the undulations we have, but it looks pretty wet as they move their way into the first corner. And they come down this hill. Let's just go through the riders as Reza Danica on pole position, second in the championship. Andy Mohamed Fadli second on the grid, but first in the championship. Adananta Putra on the front row with them.
Looking at the second row, Herjan Adna and Aiki Yoshi and Piawak Patumios.
Ray Ratukore, the wildcard Nakamura, and Andy Setiawan on the third row.
Fourth row, Fitrian Zaketi, Rafid Topanson Chipto and Takahide Tanaka.
Tanaka again is a wild card. We've got on the fifth row Akid Aziz from Malaysia, who I must confess I thought he'd be able to make more of a dent in the championship. Setu Rajiv from India and Senthil also from India. They complete the fifth row.
And then we've got Idlan Hakimi Radwan, Aldi Satya Mahendra. I think he's out, but he's got a fractured left hand. And Yuitin Nomura in 18th place.
And on the seventh row of the grid, Muzakio Mohammed, who's approaching the veteran stage now in Malaysia, and Cao Vietnam, who keeps appearing and keeps improving week on week, or event on event. Cao Vietnam, he has picked up points in all 4 races so far this season, and is in the top 10 in the overall championship standings. So he'll be frustrated to be so far back on the grid. But his lap time was 0.3 of a second down on Muzakir. Won only 3 races outside 140.
Yeah, there were problems for Cao Vietnam. His bike barbecued itself yesterday, so had to be rebuilt. And you have to say, looking at the back of the grid as well, I was surprised to see Aldi Satya Mahendra out there, because he did fracture his left hand in a crash, in fact, with Cao Vietnam, that resulted in Cao's bike bursting into flames.
Aldi Satya is a youngster who is stepping up into the AP250s. So we look into the Honda garage.
Yeah,
Astra Honda garage, I should say. Astra Honda, the home for Reza Danica and for Herjan Adna Firdaus, and also Adananta Putra. So they've got 2 of the best 3 riders on the grid at the moment.
That's one of the most experienced. We just saw taking his grid position, Rafid Topanson Chipto. The team is new to him, the LFN team, but given him that distinctive black and gold.
Yeah, great colours, aren't they?
Yeah.
Black and gold, love them. Right, let's see what the rain will do. It is a 12-lap race. Reza Danica Arans from Indonesia, next to the Kawasaki, the green Kawasaki of Andy Mohamed Fadli. And yes, I understand the feeling. The rain does look like it's picked up once again.
Yes, yeah.
That's on the start line, on the top left of your screen. The red light will go on, and when it goes off, we will be underway. Asia Production 250cc race number 1. Andy Mohamed Fadli off to a decent start, sandwiched between the 2 Astra Hondas. Ayoshi makes a move as well, but coming first into that first corner, round from P3, was Adananta Putra. So good job from Adananta. And everyone's just a little bit circumspect, as you quite understand. They're not quite sure how wet it will be underneath. There's a little wobble there from Reza Danica. And Andy Mohamed Fadli is there. What happened? What happened to Ayoshi? Oh, we've got a faller already.
And that is one of the Astras, I think.
It is one of the Astra Hondas.
Let's just take a look. Safety car just...
123 is Reza Danica Arans.
Oh, well, that is...
spun out. So the pole sitter and the man in second place in the championship, he really did look nervous on the wet bike. And another one has gone. Another one of that's Herjan Adna Firdaus. Herjan Adna is a victim of the wet weather, desperately trying to work out the problems on his bike, but that is catastrophe for Astra Honda.
And what did we say, Des, or about the what might happen in the rain with wild cards? We have.
Oh, and a third has gone, and again it's red and white, so there just seems to be no grip.
You can see now against that
That's
background.
Adananta. All three Astra Honda racers are down and out. No wonder they are looking devastated in the pit lane. Oh, dear me. So, for the others, stay on the bike.
Isn't that interesting? I think they're the only three bikes down, but
Number 4.
there is Senthil.
Senthil Chandrasekaran. Well, you've just got to be as circumspect can be. Coming through is one of the wild cards, Ryosuke, who leads the way from Rafid Topan. Takehide is the third one through, so 2 wild cards. Pirwat, Ray Ratakuri, Aldi Satya up from P17 has got himself into P6, and Cal Vietnam's up there as well. So what has happened to the Kawasaki's of Ayoshi and Andy Mohamed Fadli? I didn't see them spin out.
Well, we're looking...
Well, there they are.
Yeah, they're in 12th and 13th and 14th.
So just stay on that bike, Andy Mohamed Fadli, must surely be the order.
They're not leading the bikes over at all, are they?
Clearly there is no grip whatsoever.
Yeah. Looks like they're riding as though they're waiting for a red flag, to be honest, Des.
It certainly does, doesn't it? There were so many wet weather casualties. Andy Mohamed Fadli, in his garage, they look on. But yes, they are them. That's like me. That's how I ride.
Yeah. It must be really treacherous, and the rain is pretty hard now. That's Herjan back in the pits there.
So Herjan is desperately just trying to sort out. There will have been damage. Trying to sort out the gear mechanism.
But if the red flag does come out, then they want to get that bike fixed fast.
So Herjan Atner, one of 3 casualties. It's going to be a busy old time as we're seeing
Big tumble
another.
for
That's
Cal
one of the
Vietnam.
wild cards.
That's Cal Vietnam.
Oh, Cal Vietnam, he's out. Working desperately hard as the
Yeah.
marshals come on. Try to help him pick up the bike, but there's a lot of gravel and dirt there. And all the while, Ryosuke Nakamura is now through lap 2. And Rafid Topan is the man who's gone with him.
Yeah, Rafid Topan, one of the more experienced riders. Aldi Satcher, who's carrying a fractured left hand after a nasty crash yesterday with Cal Vietnam. He's benefiting from the wet conditions because it's easier, there's less pressure required, less strength required riding a bike in the wet. You have to be much more, as you say, Des, circumspect with how you move the bike around, and so it's going to be easier for him to get a good result.
Takehide Tanaka's there, get those wheels off. And what they're putting on wet weather tyres, of course. Making as many changes as they can, but the race is going on.
Yeah, these two look like they've found a way around this track in the wet that the others have not.
Careful what we say, Barry. I mean, we've seen so many racers go out. Senthil is out. Adananta, he slid off. Reza Danica was the first to slide off. Did Reza go into the pits? I didn't see him in the pits there. Herjan, we did see his bike getting some change. Cal Vietnam, he slid off as well. We're still in the Astra Honda garage.
Yeah, those two at the front who've got wet tyres on. I just had a close look. That's the difference. They started with wet tyres. The others thought, because the rain stopped, the track was going to dry.
Intermediates, yes, that's the gamble, and the gamble failed. So Rafid Topan is maybe looking to take advantage. It won't be the fastest race that we've ever seen. In fact, the fastest lap so far is 1:59.2, which is a full 20 seconds down on qualification time. You fully understand that.
And it's inevitably going to affect the schedule for the following races. Because, of course, we still have 600s and thousands to go.
They will be looking at the weather and looking up at the skies. And that's the other Indonesian bike into the pits as well. Wet weather tyres very, very much on.
Yeah, if you start with wet weather tyres and you have a drying track, then you're going to have no chance at all. So it's just a view that you take, and it seems like Ryosuke, I beg his pardon, made a good choice, and so did Tanaka.
Still had interesting, some parts of this track are dry. That's not exactly dry, but that looks rideable. Other parts really do look like they're absorbing an awful lot of water.
The Kidders is there on wet tyres too, so this is a chance for him to get a better result.
He's in P9 just at the moment, Akid Aziz. Bike number 13, started in P13. Akid has got a good reputation back in Malaysia. His best position so far, a P8, as Herjan prepares to come out, but he's 3 laps down, Herjan.
Yeah, that can be no more of a hope than a preparation for a wet race if it rains tomorrow.
Front 2. Yonsuke Nakamura still leading the way. Rafid Topan Susito looking for a rare old victory. He had a P2, did Rafid in round 1 in Buriram. Also had a P4 in Buriram. He started off the season absolutely on fire. Andy Mohammed Fadli, P13 for Fadli.
Yeah.
He and Ayoshi, they are not taking any risk. Surely they've got to come in and change tyres, but it's such a laborious process on the bikes.
Yeah, and they're just gambling that they're going to end up in better positions by staying out than coming in and changing. But it's really, literally like riding on ice.
This is it's one where you flip a coin, isn't it? And you say, if it comes down heads, we go with wet weather tyres and hope for the best. If it comes down tails, well,
as you've said, this is unpredictable weather area here in the mountains.
Rafid Topan was out there. Is that his teammate? Yes, he's not riding with the same alacrity as Rafid Topan was. In fact, he's about to be lapped by his teammate. While the Kawasaki's are gingerly making their way around the green and increasingly lush looking surroundings of the Sugo Sportsland.
There's a reason why it's so green around here, Des.
You just discovered it. It's still leading the way, riding well, Suke Nakamura. And Rafid Topan is there. Now then, Reza Danica has made his way back into the pits. Is this him coming out to recommence? Indeed. It's him going in, isn't it?
No, that's on the way. That is on the way. He's got wets on, and I think that's a sensible move, because if it rains tomorrow, he will at least have had some experience of riding in wet conditions here. And with the riders falling, he might even pick up a point or two.
Exactly that. So long as he now finishes the race, yes. Front 2 leading the way. Becomes a little bit of a procession behind them. Takahide and Aldi Satya with broken wrist, as you keep saying. Was it left or right?
Left, luckily.
That's Aldi Satya goes up over the hill. The lead is still with Nakamura. He's got a lead of 0.2 over Rafid Takahide, and Aldi Satya. Piawat is staying in there as well. Sadhu Rajiv has also got himself involved. Sadhu Rajiv is looking for a good result here.
This will be a best result for him if he can stick with it.
Absolutely.
Ray Ratakuri a long way down behind him, so you'd suspect that Ronaldo Ratatouille is probably on dry tyres too.
5 laps to go in the midst of all of that. Sorry, 7 laps to go, 5 laps completed. And being completed at tortuously slow pace. Andy Mohammed Fadli, 1 lap down in P13. Aoki Ayoshi as well. Now, do they just stay out? There they are. There's the championship leader, Andy Mohammed Fadli. But if he stays just doing that kind of pace, Barry Russell, he might pick up a point or 2 or 3, but there's also a danger he could be caught up by those on wet weather tyres.
He could be that this is just a view that they're taking. He's got 2 or 3 points in the bag at the moment, but there goes... who was that?
Well, it wasn't one of the Kawasaki's. That's it. Oh, another one went as well.
Yeah, I think that's... is that Rajiv? Situ Rajiv?
That would be a big shame for him because he was racing pretty well. He was in P6, and we've just been suggesting that maybe he had the best opportunity. Rafid Topan out. Back on the circuit though, but very much dirtier and wetter. So Rafid Topan, who was in P2, and that just shows you how increasingly treacherous it is out there. Where was he? He was on the back end of the circuit as well. So there is our clear leader, bike number 73, clear leader. Everybody else in that shot is being overtaken, including bike number 57, Aldi Satya. So did Aldi Satya drop out? No, Aldi Satya is the new leader. So Nakamura slid out as well. So clearly out of shot, we had both Rafid Topan and Nakamura spinning out because Aldi Satya is the new race leader ahead of Takahide. Well, that changed.
And Renosuke Nakamura has remounted. Or did he crash, or does he just drop back? It's not clear, is it?
It's not clear, but Rafid Topan certainly crashed because you'll see by the colour of his racing suit.
And injuries aside, Des, let's remind ourselves that Aldi Satya 3 years ago at Suzuka,
in the wet,
at the age of 13.
Yes, famously.
Yeah.
26 is Takahide. He's now in P2. Takahide Tanaka, a wild card. So that will upset Oh, Aldi Satya is out at the top end of your screen. Oh, poor kid.
He won't be able to pick that up with a broken left hand.
In the race lead, and you can feel his frustration.
Yeah.
And that bike looks like it's finished, and Aldi's day is done. And that means we have a new race leader, who is Takahide Tanaka. And all of this is great news for Andy Mohamed Fadli and Aoshi, who are gingerly working their way around this circuit. Is it drying? It doesn't look like it. There's still spray being thrown up on the back wheel of the race leader, Tanaka.
Yeah.
Now then, that is Herjan Adna. So the Astra Honda racers are back in play. He's about to be overtaken by the race leader, Takahide.
Yeah, we can see the timing screens here are getting confused as well.
Not
they left
surprising.
Yeah.
Racer Danica's in an opportunity to pick up some points, and bizarrely, if a couple of others crash out, even though he's 4 laps down, if he's still on the circuit, he can put a claim for points, can't he?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So Reza Danica and Herjan currently out of the points in P16 and P17 as we focus on the race leader, who continues to be, well, we've got 2 wild cards in P1 and P2, Takahide and Nakamura. So they kind of know the terrain, literally.
Yeah.
Who we brave enough to go on board with. Takahide still leads the way. I'm really interested to see how Cao Vietnam is back on his bike as well. He's picked himself up. Muzuki Mohammed has got a chance. Akid Aziz has got a chance to pick up some points here. Rafid Topan, he's back on his bike as well, so he's up in P4.
Yeah, we do see this in races. Riders can crash, and if they can get back up quickly, they can still get themselves into a decent position. Speaking of which, Aldi Satya looks as though he's got himself back on. He's listed here as 10th, so after that moment of despair, I think he realised he could run back to his bike and continue. But
just imagine the jarring of pain though as he tried to pick up that bike with that left wrist, and I broke my wrist yesterday.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do this.
yeah, exactly.
But okay, so here's Aoshi, and inside of them is another of the wild cards. That's Yuto Nomura. Andy Mohamed Fadli, current position for Andy Mohamed Fadli, P13, which is worth 3 points. It looks like he's
got...
They're still on the same tyres, they're still just easing their way around the course, maybe hoping that it dries over the next 4 laps.
Yeah, I think the wild card has got wets on. It was difficult to see with the way the light was shining on the tyres then.
Well, these are the bows and arrows of racing in a season. You have these situations as we're on board with Piawat. He's giving us an idea. It doesn't look wet there. It really can be misleading. You can see the tracks that Piawat Spike is leaving behind him. Where is Piawat? He's in P3.
Yeah, he's in P3, so he must have started on wets.
Yeah. He's got a P2 to his name so far this season, Piawat. This will help him reduce the gap in the battle for P3 in the overall championship standings. Rafid Topan is ahead of him. You've just got to take advantage when these conditions appear, Barry, and you've just got to make the best of them. No, it doesn't represent the season as a whole, but it can demolish your season if you were to crash out. Or you can just rescue something from it.
Yeah, you just need to keep the bike upright, which is, of course, is what championship leader Andy Fadley's doing. Looks like Aldi, I'm a little suspicious of the timing screens, but Aldi, he's still listed as out, but in 14th. I'm not convinced by that. And is that Rafid?
Rafid Topan down for the second time and back on for the third time.
So he's a tough lad.
With some damage.
Yeah, a little bit hanging off. That's the little bar that, yeah.
Here's our race second place. Nakamura, P2 at the moment. They're probably loving these conditions, saying all those fancy downs from the ARRC. This is our territory. This is how you race.
Yeah. Welcome to Sugo.
Welcome to Sugo, indeed. A little bit of sun there. So it's still Nakamura leading the way. In P3 really is, well, we asked it, we wondered whether it would be exciting or a lottery. It has turned into a bit of a lottery, but the timing of the rain was the thing that really put the teams into such a difficult situation just before they were going out. So do they make the decision? Oh, as we have another slider.
That's Surgeon. That's Surgeon down again.
And that surely is his race done. He looks back and wonders, what happened to my back end there?
Yeah, and the track on this, that run into the chicane doesn't look too wet, does it? Anyway, here comes the race leader, Takahide.
Started off in P12. And splendid isolation, comes up over the brow of the hill. Once he crosses the start-finish line, it'll be 2 laps for him to complete.
Tricky afternoon for these guys and their teams and the people scheduling the event as well, because this is slow.
Nakamura 6 seconds down. We're still waiting for Piawat to complete his 10th lap. 15 seconds down, he does so. So Piawat in P3. Beyond him, you've got Ray Ratakore, although, yeah, Ray Ratakore still waiting to come in. He's over a lap down, so he's over 30 seconds down. Setu Rajiv slipped off his bike and got back up. So Ray Ratakore is 33 seconds off. Piawat, we're on board with Piawat here. 15 seconds down. Of those in the championship standings, Piawat is the one who can benefit most, because he can pick up maybe 16 points here, which could move him into a clear 3rd place.
It's good for him. He needed a little boost to his season. Not the best way to have it in the rain, but he was looking okay in practice and qualifying.
You look at the clouds ahead, they were fluffy. They turned rainy very, very quickly, and just see there's a little bit of dark cloud there. That you've got to be really careful of. It's amazing how quickly you become a weatherman in this part of the world. Piawat focuses on just keeping that front wheel nice and steady, making sure there's plenty of weight on the back wheel so it doesn't slide away.
That's all he needs to do. I think perhaps in 2019 he won the Suzuka 4-hour race, which they race on 600s with Muqtada as his running mate, and that was a really wet race. So I think hopefully, touch whatever this is,
It's for Micah.
for Micah, that he will keep it upright for the rest of the race. A lot of water and everything that she came to.
So there's your race leader. He is going past bike number 19, who is Idlan Hakimi. So he's lapped there, Idlan Hakimi, but Idlan, young Malaysian, he's doing exactly the same, just staying out on the circuit, making sure that he can pick up some points. You never know. At the end of a 10-race season, every point that you pick up can be valuable.
Definitely. And Reza Danika's mission, that's clearly the same for him too. He's currently in 14th place, just behind the man leading the championship, Andy Fadley. And those two are going around very slowly. I mean, even all these guys, they're having a chat. well done. I wish I'd put on dry, wet tyres at the start of the race.
That was a good idea. Wish you told me. And then again, when he made that decision, because there were so few of them who did it, he was in the minority. So don't always follow the crowd.
No, the rain really was easing off at that moment.
26, Takahide leads. Coming into, well, this is his final lap. Then it's the lottery of just following the racers behind, finding out who's done what, who's managed to pick up a point here and there. I'm sure he'll take the win, but I wonder how much he'll enjoy the win, knowing that it's the conditions that have contributed so much to it. You just look at the gaps down to Rafid and Akid. We're just getting some information of the problems that Kawasaki and Astra Honda had. They all decided to gamble on the dry tyres. The wet weather tyre, though, was the one that got there. The tortoise beats the hare quite easily. And it's Takahide who takes the victory. He will celebrate just with a little nod of the head. He made the wise decision, or his team made the wise decision, so the wild card takes it in first place. And second place, Nakamura, another wild card. And then the point scorers, as 2 laps down are the 2 Kawasaki's, so they'll just keep on going. And we are on board Piawat as he comes up over the brow of the hill, and he will pick up 16 points here for his second podium of the season. And then we'll have a longish wait as the 2 Japanese wildcard racers enjoy the applause of the crowd. They made wise decisions. They started on wet tyres. That is a little bit of local knowledge for you, Barry Russell.
It is, absolutely. Weather is unpredictable here. They went the right way, and I think I've got time for a leisurely stroll across the Parc Fermé, Des.
I think you may well do. Barry will be conducting interviews and trying to make some sense of it. Just find out exactly what the decision-making process was, because for the dry weather guys, it proved to be wrong. But, well, you don't know at the time, do you? So, an interesting, fascinating race in which Akid Aziz has come through in P6. Rafid Topan, who twice went off, comes on in P7. Great result for Sedu Rajiv. He's got himself 11 points for P5, his best ever result on the ARC. Namora has come through in P12. Muzakir Mohammed he's come through in P9. Namora in P8. Idlan Hakimi is still on his final lap. Cal Vietnam is still on his final lap. Andy Mohammed Fadli has got 2 laps still to go. And Reza Danica, if he stays on his bike, will pick up at least 2 points. But he'll still drop a little bit further behind Andy Mohammed Fadli. The rain ruined the race, but never mind. You've got to take the good with the smooth, the rain with the sun in a season of road racing. Here is the final result. Takahide Tanaka takes the victory. Nakamura in P2, 6 seconds down. Piawat 24 seconds down in P3 for Honda Racing Thailand. Ray Ratakore, 1XOX TKR Racing in P4. Sedu Rajiv, well done to the Indian racer on the Honda, nearly a minute down, but P5 him. Akid Aziz, Rafi Topam, they had a little sprint to the line for the P6 race. Yuito Nomura was also in that little group of 3. He came in P8. Muzakir Mohammed, 1XOX TKR Racing, 117 in P9. Idlan Hakimi, 1 lap down. Cal Vietnam, a lap down. Fadli and Ayoshi, 12th and 13th, 2 laps down. Reza Danica, 3 laps down. Got back out onto his bike, having slipped out on lap number 1. Got back to the pits, got the wet weather tyres on, and just trundled his way around the circuit to make sure he picked up a point, if at all possible. Aldi Satya, broken hand and all, 15th. Herjan Adna, well, dreadful day for Herjan. He couldn't stay on the bike. 16th, but 6 laps down. And non-finishers, Sendil, Adananta, Andy Setiawan, and Fitrianta Kete. Really, really difficult conditions in the wet at Sugo. So celebrations for Piawat. And we will get some reaction from the Parc Fermé in just a minute. But an unusual circumstance, unusual race. The wet weather can make things terrifically exciting, or as they did here, make it a bit of a lottery. And as soon as the dry weather boys slip and slid their way off the circuit on race number 1, that's when we realized it was going to be lottery rather than fabulous for this particular race. Nonetheless, it's what road racing is all about. You take the rough with the smooth. For the wild card, that's a good day at the office. For everybody else, a learning situation about tomorrow and how changeable, how rapidly changeable the wet conditions came in. And whether or not you're circumspect tomorrow, or you gamble once again with the dry weather tyres. Just looking outside, and the rain seems to have completely stopped, so hopefully it is just this one race that has been seriously affected. And the 600 Super Sports and the 1000cc Superbikes will have more time to manage their decisions, because that fundamentally is what it's all about. In the background, the two-wheel motor racing people, Ron Hogg. We're just waiting. Barry Russell is down there, just waiting for the interview. We'll catch up. It put us a little bit behind schedule. But I think as soon as we saw the rain come down, we're expected to be behind schedule anyway. That is the joy, in many ways, of motorsports. It's not utterly predictable. Okay, hopefully we can now get some interviews. And let's head down to the Parc Fermé. And our intrepid co-commentator and interviewer, Barry Russell, is talking to, I think, the race winner, Takahide.
Here with race winner. Thank you, Des, and I'm here with race winner Takahide Tanaka. Takahide, congratulations. What made you decide to start the race with wet tires?
もう僕もう何十年もすぐ走ってるんで、もうちょっと濡れたらもう雨だって、もうすぐレインに変えました。
I've been running here at Sugo for many years, more than how many years I don't know, but so he's used to it. And so when it rains, we need rain tires here, so that's why he decided to go on the wet.
Fantastic. And how do you feel winning the ARRC, an international race here at your home circuit?
アジアロードの国際レースでここスゴで優勝してどんな気分ですか？
いやもう最高です。
Fantastic.
こんな嬉しいことはない。
This is the best thing happened. This is fantastic. This is the best thing happened to me.
Congratulations, finally, Takahide. What would you like to say to your Japanese friends and fans?
日本のファンや友人の方に一言。
いや50のおっさんがこんなレースに出て勝てるなんて思ってなくて、本当に応援してるみんなのおかげです。本当にありがとうございました。明日も頑張ります。
I'm 50 years old, very, very old, and still racing. And here, winning here at Sugo, my home race, home track, and with all the support from the friends and family, and this is very, very happy.
It's absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. Thanks. Back to you, Des.
Wow, what a reaction from Takahide Tanaka, the race winner in a rain-affected 250cc race in which he's beaten some really big names. Andy Mohammed Fadli, as you can see, 50 years young, and the passion, the tears, they were genuine tears of sheer delight. He's stuck in the business for a long time, but most revealingly, Sugo is his home track, so he knew about the rain. Here are the championship standings as they are. So, Andy Mohammed Fadli picked up 4 points, moves on to 95 points, and would you believe, increases lead over Reza Danica Aarons, who picked up 2 points. Iyoshi on 58 points. He closed the gap on Reza Danica Aarons in the championship. Rafid Topam moves up. That's a good performance from Rafid. 13 points for him. Piawat, his second podium on 54 points. Then Ray Ratakore, Aldi Satya Mahendra, who despite his broken wrist and falling off, did pick up some points. Cal Vietnam also picked himself up after falling off. Now straight on to Barry and the presentation.
And a big hand for our winner today, Takahide Tanaka. そして優勝できましたのは田中孝弘選手です。
What a rousing reception for the local racer. There were tears before in the interview. I'd imagine there will be more tears when the national anthem is played for him. Takahide Tanaka, winner of the AP250 Race 1 at Sugo. Well, he doesn't quite fit our Asia road racing narrative. We were wondering whether it be Reza Danica or Andy Mohammed Fadli, but it's a wonderful personal story in its own right. Wildcard Takahide Tanaka, aged 50, has won this race. Masanori Enomoto, the MD of Idemitsu Lubricant Asia Pacific, will be handing out the awards. Piawat Patumyos in the overall championship will benefit there because he'll pick up 16 points. Takahide Tanaka, 25. Nakamura, another with local knowledge, picking up 20. Also mentioned to Setu Rajiv, he's another who conducted his way through the rain and managed to pick up 11 points, a career best. Stefan Grappier, the FIM Asia president, all smiles as usual. And full of congratulations to a man closer to his own age than most of the riders normally are. Team award, Team TEC2 plus YSS NTR Japan. Unexpected bonus for those guys, but they will certainly take it, having negotiated the rain and everything that the weather could throw at them. So, Takahide Tanaka, wildcard in P1, Nakamura in P2 for Endless Team Shanti, both on the Hondas. Pirwat Patumyas from Thailand for Honda Racing Thailand in P3. And that is the scene ahead of the two final races of the day. We hope that the rain stays off. You look at the circuit, it is drying, but there's certainly a decision for the race engineers and the riders to make before the next race coming up, which is the 600 Super Sports. It's been a fascinating day so far, and we're only 3/5 of the way through. This is the Asia Road Racing Championship coming to you from the Sugo Sportsland in northeast Japan. Best of the highlights from the race that saw a rain-affected first lap. My word, was it rain-affected. Astra Honda Racing, Reza Danica Arons, first to fall out. He would get back up to pick up a couple of points. Also out, Herjam. That was really spectacular. Cal Vietnam disappearing. What it meant was that those who had taken the decision to go on wet tyres were able to lead the way. Rapid Topan Susito tried to stick with them, but he would also succumb to the vagaries of the conditions here at Sugo. And it was those who chose the wet weather tyres who were able to stick it out most. Ryosuke Nakamura, number 73, he was there. Aldi Setya Mahendra took the lead for a little while back, number 57, but then Aldi Setya, he would also crash out. They were spinning out at all kinds of areas. Cal Vietnam going down, Hendra going down. This is the race leader, Aldi Setya Mahendra. He thought, the youngster, the teenager, thought that perhaps he would be able to hold on and get himself a victory here, but in the end, the frustration when he would actually be another casualty. And that left the way open for the 50-year-old. This is Takahide, as others are spinning out. That was Herjan for the third and final time. Nakamura coming through in P2 for Endless Team Shanti. Local knowledge proving to be absolutely essential. Once the rain came down, Takahide's wet weather decision would prove to be a good one. Pirwat coming home in P3 for a good result for him, but there were tears from the winner, Takahide, as on his home circuit he was able to come home. He doesn't look like he's celebrating too much there, but there were tears in the post-race interview, and the pride from him on display was there for all to see. So a wildcard winner in the wet at Sugo. And we've got to work for Andy Mohammed Fadli and Reza Danica. They'll be hoping for no wet weather tomorrow. As you can see, it's kind of clearing up as we head into the next race, which is the Supersports 600. Cannot guarantee what will be going on next, though. One thing I can guarantee, though, it'll be exciting. This is the Asia Road Racing Championships from Sugo in northeast Japan.